History lost, decks past, but in this series, we revisit older decks to see if they can be brought back to the forefront of the meta. We'll break down what made these decks great, what no longer holds up, and how modern builds can give them new life. By exploring different variants and tech choices, we'll tune each deck to fit different playstyles. Let's see if these classics still have what it takes for meta teching. What's up, guys? My name is TechnoTuner, and today I'm bringing to you guys a new meta teching video. Today we're going to be taking a look at White Forest, one of the most explosive and upcoming decks, as this deck has a lot of push-through power. It doesn't play like most other synchro decks where it sets up a bunch of Omni Negates, but it does set up interruptions and interactions such as Book of Mooning your entire board, setting up to where it can place monsters in the back row, setting up some Omni Negates if you're playing the Vanadium package, but outside of that, you're getting banishes or working with other cards such as the Azamina package or Fiendsmith package to really set up those protection negates so you can still play through things. Right now, I just wanted to bring up this first deck here so we get started, so we get a basic understanding of what White Forest is. White Forest is basically a spellcaster style deck that basically utilizes its spells and traps as ways to special summon or get their effects. You can either send them from hand or from field to activate their effects, depending. Now, to note, we do have 3 cards that you will see a lot during this time when we're going through these videos. These 3 are going to be Sylvie of the White Forest, Elzette of the White Forest, and probably Diabellstar. Because Diabellstar, while not technically a White Forest card, this card does function as a way to get into your Sinful Spoils searches, such as for the Fusion, for Sinful Spoils of the White Forest, gets you to Wanted to recur back the Diabellstar if you need to, but it can also open up other aspects for the actual deck as well, especially going to the Azamina package as I mentioned earlier. This can also function as a way to go into Dark Magician if you're looking towards that way. Now, the one thing I will state, what is so great about Sylvie and Elzette that they're running at 3? Well, Elzette, you can send one spell or trap from your hand or field to the graveyard, special summon it, and then add a White Forest monster from your deck to your hand. During your opponent's turn, if a light spellcaster tuner is special summoned to your field while this card's in your graveyard, you get to add it, or I believe, is it add it back? You can add this card back to your hand. That is correct, because a Stellar is the one that special summons. This is the one that you usually don't see run at more than 1, but in certain cases you really like to play a Stellar at 2 or 3, depending on the build that you're doing. This card is really insane if it does get its effect to go through, where you can send one spell and trap from your hand or field to the graveyard, special summon light spellcaster tuner from your deck. If a spell or trap is sent to the graveyard to activate a monster's effect while this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card. You can only use the each effect of a Stellar of the White Forest once per turn. Now, going on from there, we have our main spell and trap searcher for the White Forest cards, which is Sylvie when it's normal or special summon. Do note that Sylvie and Rukia do have a recursion effect where they can summon themselves from the graveyard by shuffling back a White Forest synchro monster you control or in your graveyard. So if you have Reclia in your graveyard, or Silvera in your graveyard, or even Diabell in your graveyard, you can shuffle them back into the extra deck and summon those monsters. Now, they do not have to be on the graveyard, so you do have to be careful when activating those effects because it can set you back. Because if Diabell is not on the board, you can't get to other options such as Zaylin or Zapper Shrimp. These cards can really open up a lot of plays for you, from spell and trap pops to a chainable negate. The other thing that I will mention here is that in this deck, I am playing one card called Enlightenment Paladin because we are not using the Pendulum Magician engine, but when this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's original attack, so you get to do a little bit of burn damage while swinging. So that helps out in sealing out games if you need that as well. It's also another level 8 monster that you can easily make. While this deck has a lot of options that you can play, such as the Toy Box engine, where do remember that Toy Box is not a hard once per turn. The once per turn when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can send one face down card you control to the graveyard, destroy that opponent's monster. Once per turn, you can activate one of these effects from your hand, face up monster zone or graveyard, choose up to 2 monsters with toy in their original names and set themselves from the hand as a spell, and set them in your spell and trap zones as spells. or you can destroy up to 2 cards in your spell and trap zone. So basically, if they're on your field, in your graveyard, or in your deck, or in your hand, you can set them and then still get those effects later on to be able to send for the White Forest cards or other aspects such as Toy Box. You do play some decent hand traps. This deck does not operate with a lot of hand traps because you need to see your engine pieces faster than most other decks because that helps you seal out the game. So while I am playing roughly 12 hand traps here, you can cut them out or cut them down to where you're running 3 Ash, 2 Droll, 3 Imperm, or 2 Nibiru, whatever you feel like. But you basically want to stay around the 40 to 45 card limit because that deck can get a bit inconsistent if you can't see your pieces right away. While this deck has a lot of pushing power, it does give you options to really utilize the monsters in your spell and trap zones for other cards such as Snake Eyes Doom Dragon, or for Poplar of the White Forest, because you can target 2 White Forest monsters in your graveyard, place them face up owner's spell and trap zones as continuous spells. During your opponent's main phase, you can quick effect immediately after this effect resolves, sync or summon using this card you control. So you can use this plus a level 8, such as Enlightenment Paladin, Visas Armatara. Well, he can't use Visas because he's a tuner. Or you can use Draco Berserker the Tenyi or Diabell to go into your cards such as Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon. You can go into Desphy and Lula Lilith. If you're using a level 6, such as Abyss Jewel, you can go into Chaos Angel. You have other options within this deck as a whole. The other thing that I will add, since you're placing 2 White Forest monsters in your back row, you can use that to go into Snake Eyes Doom Dragon, where this can be then summoned, and if it's special summoned, you can target 1 face-up monster on the field and place it in its owner's spell and trap zone as a face-up continuous spell. So this can help break boards even further. While this deck does offer a lot of pushing capabilities, I do want to try and break it down and bring you guys some different variants that you could see, or different ways you can play this deck so you have more fun. We're looking at how to improve it for the meta, but also looking to improve it for how it can fit your play style the best. So let's go ahead and hop right into our first deck. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start this off with White Forest Fiendsmith, because Fiendsmith does not get locked by the field spell of Witch of the White Forest, because when this card is activated, you can add a White Forest monster from your deck to your hand, but you cannot special summon dark monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn. So you can do different plays, such as instead of running Necroquip, you can run the Lacrima. You can also do other things, such as utilizing Fiendsmith's Sequence to go into Fiendsmith's Desiree, depending on what you have in your grave. This also functions very well because you can make a level 10 with Fabled Leviathan pretty easily in this deck, as it can help you further seal out games, but it can also give you an option to steal an opponent's monster by attributing Fabled Leviathan, cycling it back with a a Fiendsmith Engraver, and be able to continue your play. The other options with this deck is that since you have level 4 tuners and a level 6, this does give you access directly into Chaos Angel if you need to go for a level 10 Synchro, or you can do Shang Ying if you're playing Sword Soul monsters instead. The other options here do give you a bit more protection from the Nibiru because you're playing the DDD Wave High King Caesar. So that's not a dark monster, so it does beat out the whole dark lock of the Witch of the White Forest. A lot of people are kind of curious as to why White Forest would even play Fiendsmith. Well, the fun part is they do play a lot of monsters, that is true, but you can still use them for discard outlets or being sent off for Diabell Star the Black Witch. You can summon them off of Sinful Spoils of the White Forest because you can special summon a Fiend, Illusion, or Spellcaster monster from your hand. Or you can fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field. So if you get bricked up, you have options to do other things. This can help you out greater in the long game, but it also gives you a bit of recurability, being able to shuffle back those cards with Sequence or Engraver to keep your plays going, but also gives you more spells and traps to really work with so you can summon out Diabell Star Vengeance, where you have to banish a spell and a trap from your hand and or graveyard, special summon this card from your hand or graveyard. Then as a quick effect, you can pay half your life points, target 1 card your opponent controls, and destroy it. But The other cards that we're playing here is the regular Diabell, the original Sin Keeper, but you're also playing the Diabells, the other one, which functions with Diabell Star Vengeance, where you can send a Diabell spell or trap to, or a Diabell card to the graveyard to get it in there for further plays. But the other option is that you can still use it because it special summons itself by sending a spell or trap to summon it. While it's not currently in this list, just replace the Diabells, the original Sin Keeper here, with the other one. That'll basically function as your way to further play. Now, while you do have a bunch of level 7s and level 8s, you do have Xyz plays that you can look towards on how to play further, but I am trying to minimize as many Xyz and try to keep it to more of a stable package so I can enjoy the deck a little bit more, but still keep that consistency rate and keep that interaction to where I can set up at least one Omni Negate for a Nibiru for protecting my board. The other things that I will mention here, we're still playing a decent amount of hand traps. We're still playing 12. You can still cut that down and get it closer to that 40 card limit, or you can put it to 42. You can put it to 43. It's really up to you and best how you like to play it. The other card that I will mention here is Elzet, Azamina of the White Forest, can help you out further because you can reveal this card from your hand, special summon White Forest or Azamina monster from your hand. During your main phase, you can fusion summon Azamina fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field. If this card is sent to the graveyard as synchro material, you can add one Sinful Spoils card from your deck to your hand. While this card doesn't make much sense for the Fiendsmith package, it can function as another body to get you into your Link 2. It can also function as a way to get out a level 4 monster that you have in your hand, such as Sylvie or Rukia, to use with Engraver to go into that level 10 Leviathan, so you can further play through interactions or play around that as well. While this card, or this deck, has a hard time dealing with Droll, you do have to keep an eye out for that. Anyways, that's all I have for Fiendsmith White Forest, or White Forest Fiendsmith. So let's go ahead and hop into the more well-known deck versions that you guys are going to see, but don't feel bad if you're still playing Fiendsmith White Forest, because this deck is still a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and hop right into deck number 2. As I was saying earlier, we do have White Forest Azamina as a deck. While this deck can put up a lot of interactions, from setting up Omni Negates to where your opponent cannot target cards on the field, graveyard, or banishment with Saint Azamina, you do have a lot of other options, such as a Tribute with Azamina to kaiju a monster your opponent doesn't like, while you control a Azamina, but you also have options to utilize the Diabell Star package here to utilize to go into other plays, be able to fill your graveyard with Sinful Spoils stuff, or be able to search up cards as possible. While this card is very handy, it does give you a lot of options. Now, one card that I will bring up in this deck profile is Sinful Spoils of Betrayal, Silvera. Send one Diabell Star monster from your hand or face-up field to the graveyard. Target one face-up card on the field, negates effects. When your opponent activates a card or effect in response to a Diabell Star monster effect, or your Sinful Spoils or Trap effect activation, you can banish this card from your graveyard and negate that effect. You can only use one Sinful Spoils Betrayal Silvera effect per turn, only once that turn. So this can help you play around different hand traps or interactions as well, but it's also a card you can send to the graveyard to summon out Diabell Star or Diabell's the White Witch. So this can help you get into further plays. So this can help out greatly. As the deck basically stays the same, we did introduce a bit of an Azamina package where we're playing one Debtors, one Deception and Sinful Spoils, and one Hallowed of the Azamina. The Hallowed Azamina basically reveal one Azamina fusion monster in your extra deck, and for every level 4s every 4 levels it has, round down, send one Sinful Spoils card from your hand and or field to the graveyard. If face down, reveal it. Then special summon that revealed monster. This card is treated as a fusion summon. If this card is in the graveyard, you can target one Azamina monster you control, or in your graveyard, shuffle it into the deck, and if you do add this card to your hand, you can only use this effect of the Hallowed Azamina once per turn. So that can help you get into getting Elzet, the Azamina of the White Forest, back into the deck, and also help get Azamina Debtors back into the deck. where during the main phase, reveal one Azamina fusion monster in your extra deck for every 4 levels it has, round down. Send one Sinful Spoils card from your hand and or field to the graveyard. If face down, reveal it, special summon it. During your main phase, you can banish this card from your graveyard, target one Azamina monster in your graveyard, special summon it. You can only use one Azamina Debtor's effect per turn and only once that turn. So the fun part is you can use Azamina Debtors to send Deception during your opponent's turn to summon out Ilsylvia. Ilsylvia can then function as a Omni Negate, and then at the end step, or during your main phase, on the recurring turn, you can banish it and summon back the Ilsylvia at the start of your turn. So that can help out with solidifying your board and setting up those negates proper so you can still play through further interactions. While this deck doesn't play any Xyz, it does function highly well with just Synchros and Fusions. This gives you options with the Azamina package where you don't have to play the full package, such as the Azamina, the Saint Azamina, and the Moa Regina. I do because the Saint Azamina lets you cheat out a Azamina card where you can special summon level 9 or lower Azamina monster from your deck or extra deck. So this can let you cheat out Azamina Moa Regina to pop 2. You can also cheat out Moa Recolego to basically add a Azamina or Sinful Spoils card from your deck to your hand as well. So by doing this, it does help get you a little bit further with this deck, but it also does offer up a lot of contingency plans to where you can basically use the level 6 plus a level 4 light tuner, such as Sylvia Rukia, to go into your Chaos Angel to set up an interactable banish and protection effect as well. So these can further help you break your opponent's board, but also give you more of a solidified way to still work around your opponent's cards. Anyways, guys, that's all I got for this one. While this deck is very fun, I will mention this before we move on to the third one. The third one, or the third and final deck that you're going to see here, there's not much difference between this deck and the next deck, but the only thing I will mention here is that the deck does offer up a bit of difference with the Dragoon package, where you can go into Chaos Magician, I believe, or something else. But either way, the decks are not going to look a lot different, but you're going to see some tech cards that can really help you out. So let's go ahead and hop into our final deck. All right, so our final deck profile that we're going to be looking at today is White Forest Azamina with the Dark Magician stuff that was just released in the Maze of Muertos booster set. This deck does function a lot more equally between the fusions and synchro package. It gives you more interaction. It also gives you an OTK possibility with running Dark Eradicator Warlock. You don't have to run this card, might I add. It's just a cheesy way to win. But it does give you options to further play through cards and effects that your opponent may have. Whether you go into Dragoon for an Omni Negate, or go into Master of Chaos to basically beat over other cards and banish a monster, or all monsters your opponent controls, you can do other things as well. Perfect example, you can take Diabellstar or Diabellstar. Well, no, you can only take Diabellstar or, what is it? It's a Dark Spellcaster, correct? So, yeah, it would only be your Diabellstar Black Witch. This is where you usually want to run 3 of them instead of just the 1. This is where I would probably incorporate 2 more or cut it down. Cut out the Dark Eradicator Warlock, unless we're doing the burn strategy. Either way. But you can take Diabellstar, tribute it, to go into Dark Magician of Destruction. This lets you search up one Dark Magician or one card that mentions it from your deck to your hand, which can get you Gaze of Timaeus, which can allow you to go into a fusion summon of one monster, but you banish it during the end phase of your next turn, such as Dragoon and or Master of Chaos. So while we're functionally setting up another negate, we do have that interaction to set up an OTK, where we can just activate spells and burn our opponent for 1,000 life points. Or we can utilize Master of Chaos. You contribute 1 light and 1 dark monster. Banish all monsters your opponent controls. If this fusion summon card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target 1 spell in your graveyard, add to your hand. So that can help you recur back the Gaze of Timaeus as well for further plays. The other cards that I will mention here, while we're still playing 3 Wanted, Seeker of the Sinful Spoils, you are also playing 3 Witch of the White Forest. So if you do activate Witch of the White Forest, you cannot go into the Dark Magician stuff, so you have to set that up first if you're wanting to go into that. While this card is great for actual White Forest plays and build up and setup, this card can heavily lock you and prevent you from setting up some of your bigger plays. So you do have to be careful in how you incorporate this. The other cards I would mention that are very beneficial overall that can help this deck move forward is Bestials. They are functional, special summonable level 6s that can offer up a lot of things, from searching a dragon, searching or destroying a opponent's monster by sending it. You can send a spell or trap that's a Bestial, so you can fill or a branded spell or trap, which can give you other options for Diabell Star Vengeance to summon itself from the graveyard or hand. You do have other cards that can basically work within the deck, but it functions as a way for you to go into Chaos Angel a lot easier as well. The other cards that I will mention here that I haven't mentioned really in the prior decks are Cursed Diabell. If you control 2 or more Diabell monsters, send one monster you control to the graveyard, destroy all face-up cards your opponent controls. If this card is sent to the graveyard or banished from the hand or deck, you can add 1 Diabell spell or trap from your deck to your hand. You don't ever really see the send 1 monster control you control to the graveyard, destroy all face-up cards your opponent controls effect, because that is very rare to pop up. We're basically utilizing this card to search for a Diabell spell, which would be Filia Diabell, which is, where is it? Right here. Add 1 level 8 or higher Diabell monster from your deck to your hand, or if only your opponent controls a monster, you can special summon it instead. If this card is banished, you can make all Diabell monsters you currently control gain 500 attack. So this gives you your Diabell monsters a boost in attack, but it also can turn it from a search to instead into a summon, which can further help your plays there as well. While this card, these 3 cards are very beneficial in the deck, you can functionally incorporate as many copies of Diabell Star you like. I like playing at 1 to 2 because while I do have to send cards to interact and activate effects, you really cannot do much beyond that because you can get hit by Droll. You have to figure out a way to set up a bit of protection from Droll so you can keep going on and keep doing your plays. If you can play through Droll, this deck is really, really good, and it can functionally allow you to continuously set up some really insane boards that a lot of competitive decks still have troubles handling because of the interaction and playstyle. Anyways, guys, that's all that I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please feel free to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.